Good afternoon, everyone that is joining so far. I would say if you, if you are joining via phone, if you could do us a favor and go ahead and mute your phone. If you're on computer, then you're good. But we want to make sure that everyone that will be speaking will be able to hear one another. And we'll give our colleagues a few moments to join in, and we'll get started probably in the next 5 minutes or so. What's going on, Cultivation? How you guys doing over there?
What's up, fam? How you doing?
Doing good.
Yo, I'm feeling this, dog. I'm feeling this. Yo.
You know, sometimes you have to represent.
Yeah. And it's tough with the hat too. The hat is hard. So,
you see my balloon pin?
No, I didn't see that, but the little tassel or whatever is pretty sick.
Yeah, I don't really know what it means, but I like the way it looks.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, but
so it's our lunchtime. We'll be eating and watching at the same time, just to let you know.
Please do. We don't want to interrupt that. Make sure you guys get your sustenance and such. But Brian, I think this will be very helpful for you and your team because you guys are still pending your benefits enrollment. So This will give you all of the information that you'll need to know when you are making those elections.
You got it.
And the good news is that we are also, so this has been an all-inclusive meeting. So it's TRTC and Unrivaled. We're all in here under one roof. So everyone will be able to get the information in real time and we'll be able to answer any questions that everyone may have regarding benefits. I know benefits can be really tricky when it comes to selecting a plan, out-of-pocket maximums, et cetera. So we want to touch on all of those things so that as everyone, especially our Unrivaled employees are enrolling, you guys will have everything that you'll need to really understand the coverage that you're going to be applying for.
You got it. See, I already have coverage through my wife, through my girl. And so I was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't even really need to pay attention. She was like, no, I paid for your coverage. Go handle yours. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's important. You should always know what benefits are available. And then I'll also share just as everyone continues to join, I'll also share some of the ancillary benefits that we have, which are very helpful, especially like, for example, if we have our voluntary life insurance, that carrier also provides an array of benefits to people such as grieving counseling. If you happen to lose a loved one, they have different resources that will help you to make your arrangements. I mean, the list goes on, and there's so many untapped resources that people don't really take advantage of. So we got a lot that we're going to be offering and talking about today.
So we have, is there a therapy option, just normal therapy option? And
there is a 100% a therapy option, but that's going to be under our EAP, which is our employee assistance program. And in order to get that, you have to be enrolled in our benefits, but I can provide you with a number and whomever would need it, you're actually eligible for 12 therapy sessions a year under our EAP.
Awesome. I believe everyone needs it.
Yeah. I mean, it's a healthy process. Self-care is the best care. And something else that we also could do in terms of therapy is there's also a way to be able to do that under our benefits. So I'll let Ken, speak to that at a later time. But we're at 5 after the hour. So I'm gonna ask everyone besides myself, Ken, and Tony to go ahead and mute yourselves at this time. Again, if you are calling in on a phone dial-in, if you can also mute yourself, we will have an employee Q&A section at the end that will allow you to unmute yourself to ask any questions that you may have. But to kick it off, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brandon Nelson. I'm the head of HR for TRTC. It's a pleasure to meet all of you virtually. I actually wanted us to be able to have this meeting, again, to discuss employee benefits. It's probably one of the most comprehensive and important benefits that you'll get with the company. So we want to make sure that you have a thorough understanding of everything that the company offers. So to help me with this particular discussion and explanation, I've brought on our benefits broker, Ken Maddock. And then we also have Tony Minata, who oversees our carriers. So we have two individuals that are very well versed in all of the different benefits coverages that we offer. So we'll get to explore all of those things today. I know a lot of you, especially for our unrivaled new employees that will have onboarded as of July 1st, you guys have also received your benefits enrollment links. If you haven't, be sure to check your spam or your junk email inboxes because they're there. There's going to be instructions that you'll follow in order to make all of your benefit elections. And we ask that you get that done as soon as possible. The reason being is that we're adding so many employees to our headcount total that our rates are going to change. And so as we become a large employer, we actually are going to see some fluctuations in our rates. And we're hoping that it's going to be a reduction in rates, but we won't know that until everyone has fully enrolled and the underwriting process is completed. With July 1st being right around the corner, we're asking everyone to get this enrollment done as soon as possible. The quicker you get it done, the quicker we can get all of this information to our carriers so that you know exactly how much you're going to be expecting to contribute on a per pay period basis from an employee contribution perspective. And it'll also allow us to get those deductions and elections in the system for you in a timely manner. So at this time, I'm going to pass it over to Ken Maddock so that he can begin to explain how our benefits are structured, especially with TRTC being a self-funded insurance model. So I introduce to you Ken Maddock.
Good morning, everybody, and I appreciate your time that you guys are spending with us today. I'm looking forward to interacting with everybody one-on-one. One of the things that we try to do and be available in my agency is that we attempt to have access to everybody, or let everybody have access to us. We're available a lot to help you out if there's any kind of questions or concerns that you may have in getting your enrollment done and going through the process of enrolling in the products that are available to you. Like Brandon said, that TRTC has been utilizing a self-insured medical coverage for a number of years. This isn't a new model. It's nothing new in the market space. It's a way to help entities with large groups control their costs and keep the cost to the employees at a reduced number as much as possible. So nobody wants to spend money on health insurance that they'll never utilize or never really want to spend money on. So like I heard somebody talk about their girlfriend or their spouse is paying for their coverage. We find that the ability to provide terrific coverage at a reduced rate is better off where you are paying the doctors when you actually go rather than prepaying a carrier in case you go. So the model is we are self-insured, which means that TRTC will be paying the provider through a third-party administrator called EDIS, or Employer Driven Insurance Services, over the time period that you actually utilize your benefits. So to access your benefits, once you go through the process of enrolling, and that process of enrolling requires that you answer health questions, because the healthier your group is, the less expensive it is for everybody. Now, your employer has a current rate right now for our employer-driven coverages, and that rate has a chance of getting reduced now that we're bringing on additional members of the group. So the quicker we get all of you to enter the information for us to get it into the underwriting, the faster we'll be able to provide that number. The current number is $413 a month per member, per employee. And we anticipate that that could be driven down. Now, to access your coverage, you'll be going through a network called PHCS. It's a network of providers for doctors and specialists and urgent care providers. The benefits provided by the hospitals in case of a catastrophic event are terrific because you don't need a network. You can go to any hospital that is near you, and we suggest that you do that at any kind of emergency. Now, we will not pay emergencies if they're not really emergencies. So if you're having a sore throat and things aren't going the way you'd like, we'd prefer that you don't wait till you're in dire straits to see a doctor. We'd prefer that you utilize our teledoc. And this last year with COVID, I think that everybody is familiar, or if they're not yet, they should be, with the fact that teledoctor is the way to go. So we have a free, through our self-insured product, the EDIS product, free teledoc access. So what's better than, if you're not feeling well and not wanting to actually leave the house, than picking up the phone, calling somebody that will get on the phone with you, diagnose you for most circumstances, and in most cases, if it's necessary, actually prescribe a prescription. And a lot of pharmacies will deliver that prescription. So rather than waiting till you feel like you need to go to urgent care, and this is a 24/7 teledoc. So rather than going to urgent care where you're going to sit in a room, closed area with a bunch of people that are probably way sicker than you are, and then wait to see a doctor who's going to give you a prescription where you have to go stand in line at a pharmacy, we think it makes a lot of sense if we utilize this teledoc system. So whenever you're out and whenever you're sick and whenever you're thinking about this, that's very important. So that's one thing. The other thing that we like to see and suggest is that you don't wait until you're in those circumstances. You'll find out that if you spend time on the PHCS network of providers and pick a doctor and find a doctor and work with somebody that you know or you like. And then I'm going to use Brandon as an example, because when he first joined the TRTC group, he had a doctor that he wanted to utilize for his children, and he submitted a recommendation to add them to the network. And it took some time. I'm going to say that it probably took 4 to 6 weeks, but then that doctor became part of the network. And so he was in network, and he got to keep the doctor that he wanted to utilize for his children. I think that's huge. That's not an automatic. Doesn't necessarily always work, and we'd love to see that take place when somebody wants to do that. Now, it's not going to work if you want to utilize our system for Kaiser. And now we're talking, let me segue into Kaiser for a moment. Some people may be used to the Kaiser method in the way things are utilized, so we will be providing in the enrollment an option to pick up a Kaiser plan. It is going to be partially funded by TRTC. And it will give you access to the Kaiser doctors and to their facilities. And it will be it's going to be a slightly higher cost, or than the current coverage that we have with our PPO model. However, it will be available, and there is also an application to fill out for that. So you can't choose both. Just to make this clear, when you go through the online enrollment process through EASE, which you should have received that link, like Brandon said, late last night or at some point today, that they will give you a choice. Am I going to do the PPO model with the EDIS, or am I going to do the HMO model with Kaiser? So you have to make that selection at that time. And currently, we still don't know what the Kaiser plan is actually going to cost, like Brandon said. So we've picked a number that they think would be conservative at $427 for the employee. So slightly more expensive than the PPO model that we're providing. Let's see, what else could I touch base on those two at this point in time? So I think that's a pretty good idea about how it works. So the self-funded piece, which is the EDIS. So a lot of you guys are used to Kaiser or Blue Shield or Blue Cross. And when you walk into a doctor's office for the first time with an EDIS card, they're going to go, well, that's not a carrier that we recognize. So I just want you to know this in advance. It makes a lot of sense to spend some time prior to needing to see a doctor or feeling too sick to go to work and needing to go to urgent care. Be a little proactive and take some time to search and interview a doctor if you haven't been to one in a while, and call them up and ask them if they would accept, if they're in the network, and you give them that information, they'll call and verify that you have coverage through EDIS. And it's all on the back of the card, just like any other insurance carrier. Although they're not the carrier, they do have a card that will give the provider the information on how to A, get you approved, and B, submit claims on the provider will be able to submit the claim. So there's no difference except the first time that you go to use it. And we do provide information in a one-page flyer if you need it, and it should be accessible on the EASE when you go in to enroll, on how to go ahead and present it for the first time. a lot of providers get used to it, and it's never been a problem once they've started to utilize it.
Yeah, if I could jump in there, Ken, I
Sure.
will say with EDIS, because it's an alternative insurance carrier, it's not widely known like your Blue Cross, your Anthem. So a lot of providers will initially refuse it, or they'll say, well, I don't know what this is. But as soon as if they contact the verification number that's on the back, or again, if you utilize the verification form that we'll be able to provide, you won't have any issues. As soon as people are able to get past that initial unfamiliarity phase, they realize that it is a PPO and it's actually very good coverage, and you're able to move forward with whatever business that you're looking to conduct. And something else I wanted to clarify, and I've gotten a couple of questions from employees that have emailed me, is that the numbers that have been quoted in email, like the 413 or the 427, that is a monthly number, but realize that that's the total cost of the coverage. So for our model in terms of employer and employee contribution, we followed the 75 and 25% model effective as of July 1st. Meaning that you'll only be responsible as the employee for employee only coverage for 25% of that 413. So if you had selected the EDIS model on a monthly basis, you're paying about $104. Every pay period, it's $52 to look at it that way.
And Brandon, along those lines for everybody's edification. So once we get done with the underwriting and we get the group up to a sizable number, and if we needed Tony to jump in here, we believe with the census model that we see coming out of the groups that we can get that price driven down just a little bit. And TRTC is guaranteed to the employee that the cost will not exceed what they're currently going to be showing on the website. However, once the underwriting does get done, and if that number does come down, and we hope it does, then that number will be reflected on their payroll deductions. That's my understanding, Brad? I think that's correct.
That's correct.
Yeah, so a terrific benefit. And this is a $1,500 deductible. And if anybody's ever been out in the marketplace and trying to buy insurance on an individual basis and not knowing, what's available, if you were looking for a $1,500 deductible, it's a relatively expensive coverage in the individual marketplace, and it may sound really too cheap to be true, but the $400 level is really inexpensive now. And it provides.
Can you explain, I'm sorry, can you explain just for everyone what that $1,500 deductible means? Because I know for me, prior to actually having to learn benefits under HR, it was Spanish to me, or just a foreign language. So just explain in layman terms what that means. Like,
yeah, everybody's going to see online that when they register for their coverage, that there's a benefits summary of benefits, and the $1,500 deductible means that if there's a catastrophic event and you ended up in the hospital, you're going to have to pay that first $1,500. However, if you're going to the doctor, or if you're going to a specialist, or if you unfortunately end up in an urgent care, situation, you're not responsible for the first $1,500. There is what we call a copay. You will pay, and I'm trying to remember the exact amount. I believe it's $30 is our copay for the doctor. So when you go to a doctor in the provider network, your cost out of your own pocket is not anything other than the $30, and that includes anything that doctor's doing, except if it's a annual physical, because there's no fee for that whatsoever. So if you're going for your Affordable Care Act annual, then you're not going to even pay that copay. Now, if the doctor prescribes a prescription for you, you're not going to have to pay that $1,500 deductible if the prescription for the pharmacy. You got to copay. So whether if it's a generic brand or a brand name prescription, you're going to pay either, I think it's $15 for the generic and $25 for the prescription. So again, that deductible does not come into play whatsoever unless you have that unfortunate catastrophic event where you do end up in the hospital after going to an emergency room for a true emergency. God forbid something happens to you where you broke your arm playing soccer on the weekend. You need to go to get it reset. there you're going to have some copay, and you're going to have to pay some of the deductible depending on the actual cost at the hospital. So those are when those things will come into play. But having access to a doctor, having access to a specialist, again, teledoc, there's no cost, no, not even a copay on our program where you would have to pay $20 or $30 in a lot of places. Yes, you'll still have to pay for a teledoc prescription, but again, that's not the deductible. It's just the copay. So we have a terrific program that gives you access without having to come out of pocket for anything other than your copays in most circumstances, again, unless it's that emergency issue or a catastrophic event. Is that what you're looking for, Brandon? And by the way, a little bit of a segue on that broken arm playing soccer on the weekend. Brandon mentioned some unbelievable ancillary products, and again, two of them are they have a critical illness product that they provide and an accident product. So if you did have that accident break on the weekend, that is going to have some. I know all of you are familiar, or most of you should be, with the quote unquote Aflac duck, where if you miss work and you can't work, or if you get hurt and you can't work, there's some benefits there. And so there's also a product that's provided by TRTC for that as well. That's not charged to the employee. But the ancillary products that are, and I don't know if it's time to bring those up yet, Brandon, but I'd love to talk about, especially this new group coming in, the one-time option to sign up for voluntary life insurance.
Please, yes, absolutely.
So this is huge for everybody, and I hope everybody takes the time to visit the voluntary life insurance piece. Now, TRTC provides basic life insurance. You get that at no cost.
It's $10,000 though.
Correct. You can buy up, is what we call it, up to $100,000 in life insurance without having to prove that you can qualify. Very inexpensive. And if anybody's had any kind of illness and they're unable to buy life insurance, there is no qualification other than the fact that you're joining this group now. This is your one time. You may not want it ever again, but this is the one time where you want to take advantage of this, because if you don't buy it on your original registration for the life insurance, you will not get the option to qualify without proving insurability ever again. This is the one time. So you can buy up to $100,000. Here's a really nice one for anybody that's married. You can also get up to $50,000 on your spouse without proving any insurability. However, there is a little caveat to this. You can only buy 50% on your spouse of what you purchase. So to get the $50,000 on your spouse, you have to buy $100,000 for yourself. But this is pennies on the dollars, and I'm sure you've all heard the ads about life insurance. Call Big Joe, and he'll get you the cheapest life insurance. You know, he's on his third wife or whatever that ad is. This is even less expensive than that, and it's deducted out of your paycheck. And it's almost as if it didn't even. You don't even feel it. It's so inexpensive. So I want you all to look at that.
To chime in on that, I've literally just processed an enrollment for someone that works at the retail level, because these rates are based on your age group. But this person is definitely in their mid-20s, and they elected $100,000 additional voluntary coverage. And that rate is $5.67 per pay period that they're getting for that. And of course, insurance, it's a just in case type of precaution, but I would think we would all agree with 2020 and everything that we've experienced in the world over the last year, time is such an unknown commodity. So let's put these things in place to make sure that you're protecting yourselves and your families.
Yeah, that's terrific. And Brandon and I, you know, we know as a couple of people that were involved with TRTC that circumstances are never ever exactly how you'd like them to be, and unfortunately we had a circumstance that was horrific a couple of years ago, and the company had to utilize, Brandon spoke briefly about the ancillary benefit that provides services for somebody that had an unfortunate, untimely event. And the company utilized services, the individual employees utilized services, and it was really at a, you know, there was a small cost to the individual we had a provider come actually out to the offices, but to all the employees there was no cost, and you have to have the product in order to get the no cost. Now everybody gets this product, so the basic coverage for the insurance, for life insurance, is provided by TRTC. The option to buy additional coverage is this one time. Now you can still buy optional coverage in the future, but you will be limited to a $10,000 increase and have to prove insurability. So you'll have to answer the health questions the next time around. So this is the one time at your initial registration that you get this optional 100,000. I don't know what else I could provide right this second, Brandon. I'm happy to take questions if anybody has any questions regarding any of this.
Yeah, no, I think you've done a good job. Thank you for just explaining our benefits. At this time, we certainly want to open it up for questions that you all may have, whether it's you're having any issues with the enrollment process in general, or if you'd like any more in-depth information on specific coverages, whether that's out-of-pocket maximums or the per pay period employee contributions. Again, we wanted to open this up in a public forum to allow everyone to get this information and to make sure that your enrollment process is as much informed as possible.
And if it's about a personal issue and you rather not speak publicly about that, just send us a chat or something online right now, and I would be happy to call you back or talk to you, individually. So if it's something general about a question and it's not specific to you, I'm happy to answer that publicly.
Most definitely. And just something to correct that I said earlier, Brian, for the counseling services under our EAP program is actually 8 consultations annually. But again, if you ever should need more, that's also something you could explore under our general healthcare coverage, because that is also an option as well.
By the way, on your EAP program, it's not limited to the employee. Everybody in the household gets that access.
That is absolutely correct. I've had individuals, and with us, we're a family here. So we've had individuals that have lost loved ones. And of course, that process is different for every person, but we were able to set that employee up with grievance counseling. And not only did, like Ken said, did she use it, but the entire household. So her mother, it was a grandfather that was lost. So her mother and aunts that also resided with her were also able to get that grievance counseling, which helped with their healing process. So again, it's an array of resources available to you. It's just something that you just have to be open to receiving. But if you have questions, please let us know, because we want to make sure you get what you need. And if you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself at this time and shoot away. Unless we did such a good job explaining everything, Ken, that it's crickets, which is great to me, but
Raise your hands. We want to answer questions.
Yeah.
This is Colin. I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
So I was driving through a little bit of bad service, and maybe you covered this when it cut out, but it sounds like there's a few different options. There's the Kaiser Permanente, and then there's another option, which I can't remember the name of it. There's a few different options for plans, right?
So there's two. So there's the PPO. Yes, there's the PPO or the HMO, which is going to be the Kaiser Permanente option.
Okay. And do you happen to know if PPO covers like Quest Diagnostics blood work and stuff like that, or the other place that does blood work?
Got you. Ken, do you want to chime in on that?
Yeah. Typically the major, and I could ask Tony to chime in on this one, but I think most of the major companies that handle blood work do actually fall into the EDIS program.
Hi team, this is Haley. I can vouch for that. It does. Quest Diagnostics, LabCorp, SnoraQuest. I mean, any of the big ones you're going to be good with.
Yeah, I've received a bill from them, so I can attest to that as well.
Yeah, they cover it. Okay. Usually they cover it, and it's usually like 40 to 60 is your pay after the coverage, which is not egregious considering blood work is expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Great. And then quick follow-up question for that is does the PPO one, the non-Kaiser one, does that happen to cover naturopathic doctors or like acupuncturists or even chiropractors, like alternative style health practitioners?
Go ahead, Tony, you got it.
You know, this PPO coverage, chiropractic care or acupuncture care.
We just missed you, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, you're cutting in and out, I think. I lost him.
Yeah, well, to answer that question, I, again, personally can attest that the more natural forms of medicine are applicable under our healthcare coverage. I've actually used both chiropractor and acupuncturist under that coverage, and I actually did not have a copay because I believe under the plan, I got 12 visits per year between the two. So there definitely are options. If there is ever a question about it, you can always contact EDIS first to verify that the specific form of medicine or treatment plan that you're looking for is covered before you actually make an appointment and move forward with the treatment.
This is Haley, to piggyback on what Brandon said, as someone that loves naturopathic everything. It typically depends on the provider that you go to. In my experience, some I found will absolutely accept insurance and some don't because the insurance rule isn't always nice to them. So I would do your research. If there's someone that you love, again, call EDIS, but it's definitely a coin flip in my opinion, depending on the provider itself that's giving the acupuncture, the naturopathic medicine.
Okay, great. Do they happen to have a list of like who's in network, or like could I research that, or would I have to call all the naturopaths individually?
Yes, there is actually the provider network that you'll be given a link to, that you'll be able to type in your zip code, what type of treatment that you're interested in, and all of those providers that are in network will pop up for you.
Great, thank you. And then last question is, it sounds, it was 400 and something per month. Is that all the employees, or is that the split between the employee and the company?
No, so that was the total cost. So the actual split is going to be 25% of that 400. So the example I gave before for, it's like 104 divided by 2 pay periods is $52 each pay period for you.
Okay, got it. Sorry, I must have cut out when you said that. So
no worries.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Clay over at Oakland Cultivation. Excellent job, Brandon. Excellent job, Ken. I just have a quick question. I'm going to go from Kaiser, which I've had my whole life, to a PPO. And the way Kaiser works is you need referrals for everything from your doctor. So if I want to see a urologist or I want to see a orthopedic surgeon, I would need a referral from my doctor. How does the PPO work? Can I just see a specialist, or would I still have to go through my who I pick as my general physician and get referrals through them?
I'll speak to that. So everybody is going to follow the same process, especially for specialist visits like a urologist or orthopedic specialist. So you'll go see your primary care physician and let them know exactly what it is that you need, and they'll be able to execute the referral for you. So it's the same in the PPO model, just a little different under a different.
So most things are done through your general physician, and then he sends you out to. Because how does I guess that my other question is because with the PPO, there would be different specialists that I can choose from, right? Or would the doctor, so would he give me a general referral and then I would go and pick the specialist I wanted to take that referral to? Is that how that would work?
So you could do it both ways. I think the easiest way to go about it is with your primary care physician, whomever is within that medical network, they'll probably start with referring you there first. But as I said before, there's the website where you're able to kind of go in and say that I'm looking for a urologist. And so this is the zip code. You'll have a complete list of all of those personal, the physicians, I'd recommend that you look at their reviews and just make sure that that's someone that you connect with for that treatment purpose. But once you're able to move forward, when you do go to your general physician, you'll let them know who you're interested in, and they'll be able to move forward with that process that way.
Okay.
If it's not somebody that they're immediately familiar with.
Can I chime in here for just a second for everybody as well? Brandon, that's terrific. So one of the things that Brandon's saying is so true. So if you go to your first physician or your main care provider, it's really helpful. However, one of the things that you do not have to do is you do not have to go to that primary care physician to get access to a specialist. So if you just want to go and they're in the network, you could go. And if you have a question about who's in the network, you can always call the EDIS Administration Services, and they will help you locate a doctor and if you're having trouble. So let's say you did want to see a urologist and you did want to go somewhere and you weren't finding one in the local area that you were comfortable with, they will help you find one. So you're not alone in that process. So not only can you do it online, you can actually do it with the help of the services at EDIS. And then when all that fails, call me.
Excellent. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your help.
Anytime, sir. Anyone else have any questions?
Don't be shy. It's a good time to ask.
I do. Is dental or vision covered at all with this insurance?
Yes.
Great question. Brandon?
Yep, it definitely is. So the costs that were provided to everyone, that was inclusive of medical, dental, and vision. And so for dental, it works in the same manner. You certainly can select whatever dentist you choose to go with. You just want to confirm that that dentist is within the network, of course. There's definitely a large variety of dentists that you can choose from. And then for vision, there really is no specifications as to which optometrist you can go to. You can actually go to any vision or any location to be able to get an eye exam or to be able to be, I would say, treated for lenses. But the only thing is that you're just going to be subjected to a specific maximum that can be applied for those services.
And that's also available, the entire is available online when you enroll.
Yeah, so all of this information as you go through your enrollment process and go through each of the selections, it'll be able to give you, it'll have a PDF that will pop up of all of the information and exactly how each of the coverages work and what's available to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anyone that are in the middle of a treatment plan as you're going to be transitioning, anything along those lines that you may want to speak to and kind of get some guidance on? And of course, if it's personal, you can always talk offline. You can always email or send a chat and we can connect with you to make sure you have the guidance in that manner.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my company phone number and my cell number into the chat box right now because I'm happy to take calls all night long, even if it's important enough. If you want to call me in the middle of the night, I'll take the call. So my name and my email address, and we're really here to help you guys successfully go through this process. So we want to be available for anything that you need. So don't be afraid to call about questions. We want to help you get through this.
Absolutely. And then from an HR perspective, I also included the TRTC email address. Slowly but surely, as we merge together, we'll definitely be able to answer all employee inquiries as one entity. So if you have any questions regarding the benefits enrollment or your onboarding, I know you guys have received both of those links simultaneously, this week. So please feel free to reach out. We definitely want to make sure this is as smooth and seamless a process as possible, but we don't want to hold you. We know business is awaiting all of us. So if you have no further questions, we look forward to connecting and partnering with you guys moving forward, and have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care, everyone.